I'm going to move on very swiftly to Honorable Zungula. This morning you spoke very passionately about the role of young people and young parliamentarians in particular as having not just youth on their side, but the power of the law and the power of the legal apparatus. And perhaps as we try to move on over the next few days, but over the next decade, in trying to bring us closer together in harmony with what Dr. Loma said, what is or where is the position and place for the network such as the African Young Parliamentarians Network, which is a brilliant network, but certainly needs to be housed and find its way into the Pan-African conversation and the Pan-African process? So over to you, Honorable Zungula.
Thank you. I think maybe I would say there is a role for each and every one of us to play, because we've got different expertise whereby when we come together, coming with the different expertise, we're able to collectively play our part and make our substantive contributions. The people that are in the civil society space, because they may have the expertise in terms of understanding and knowing how much is due when it comes to reparations, that is the contribution they could make. The different people, basically, as we're sitting in this room, we all have a role to play. Now, it is our submission as the AYPN that anything that has got to do with the governance systems must be backed up by law. No matter how much we can make political speeches, we can attend conferences, if we do not enact it in law, then we are missing, that is a missing link when it comes to implementation. I would make an example about the AFCTA, whereby even though there's a general agreement at a AU level, but if we can examine in the different countries whether has it been ratified by the different countries, because ratification then means it is legally enforceable and the different countries can be legally held to account based on the implementation or non-implementation. So I think the missing link when it comes to how we approach governance as African countries is the lack of the utilization of the law. I think that is where we are missing the point most importantly. And this is something that it baffles us as the AYPN because our colonizers used the law. The General Act, when they divided the continent, was the law that they used, and they enforced it through violence. If you go to South Africa, there was apartheid, whereby there was a political idea of subjugation and oppression of the natives, the indigenous black people of the land. But it was not political speeches that made black people to be oppressed. It was the law. Hence you find that when the Land Act was passed in 1913, that is what made other people in terms of the chiefs, the religious leaders, to take a stand to say they are going to come together because they knew that there's something in law that will be legally enforceable by law and there will be no avenues for them to just bypass it. So the trick, it is utilization of the law, because without the law, then we don't have an instrument in which we can hold the people that are in power accountable. So our submission then is to say, the young parliamentarians, and I'm not being ageist when I'm focusing on the young parliamentarians, but it does happen at times that we've got MPs that are advanced when it comes to their age. So you find that they are fatigued in terms of picking up a struggle. Most of them, they picked up the struggle for independence, against colonizers or against apartheid. Hence you find that maybe the reason why they are so corrupt is because they are fatigue shame. So we need to understand them. So we need to invest in the young people who will take over the fight, because if you talk about the fight for independence, it was not won over 10 years, 5 years, etc. It is something that took many years. For example, South Africa was colonized up until 1994. It was under an apartheid government up until 1994. So an investment in young people who, firstly, have got the energy, secondly, have not had that psychological impossibility that have been conditioned to say this is not possible. Because if you engage some of the elderly MPs, they'll tell you, you want reparations from who? It is not possible. Because of how much maybe they've been exposed to the system and how they've been conditioned by the system to say some things are not possible. So I would maybe urge the role players that are here is that utilize the MPs that we have so that whatever that is discussed, not only must it become law, but also politically speaking, we need young MPs who are going to be a nuisance and irritation in terms of the powers that be, and also agitate the rest of the communities to say it is an injustice. Because we speak about these numbers and how much we are paying for, when it comes to paying for interest versus how much we are paying for education. But when it comes to an ordinary person on the street, they do not find the correlation between reparations and the impact in terms of the quality of their lives. So it is a reason why politicians, because we are used to bringing up political ideas, whether we are hated for them or are liked for them, we are used to the critique. Whereas the professionals and the people who are used to boardrooms maybe might not really, fare well when it comes to dealing with hostility because of people who do not understand. And maybe lastly, I would say we must never, ever get tired of explaining to people why reparations, why reparative justice, and why we need to have a debt-free Africa. Regardless whether people believe us or understand us now, or they will understand us 10 years later, we must never get tired of explaining. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Zungula.